Magandang gabi sa inyong lahat, mga kaibigan, mga kapwa Pilipino doon. Ngayong hapon na ito, ay magkakaroon tayo ng isang kapanayamin na magsasalita tungkol sa kanyang mga balak, kanyang mga iniisip na paraan upang mapadali, mapagaan ang pag-intindi ng ating kabataan sa ating wikang Pilipino at ating palaganapin ito upang hindi makakalimutan ang aking kultura dito sa ating bagong tinitirang lupa, Estados Unidos ng Amerika. Ito po ngayon ay si Cleo na siyang magsasabi tungkol sa kanyang sarili at sasabihin niya ang kanyang mga inisip, binabalak o kasalukuyan lang ginagawa. At ito ay Channel 27, Wikat, at ang ayong maglingkod ang siyang host at si Shaaron Foxbet ang siyang direktor ng programang ito na napapanood sa inyong mga tahanan sa oras ng alas 6:30 hanggang alas 7 ng Martes at Biyernes kada isang linggo. Nandito po ngayon ang ating kapanahimin, Ginong Cleo, at sabihin mo lang ang buong pangalan mo, Cleo, na lalong gusto mo ang tawag ko sa iyo, Cleo.
Choy po.
At, Choy. Okay, Choy. Here we are. Magkakaroon tayo ng bilingualism ngayon. Hindi purong Tagalog, hindi purong English, kundi subukin natin pagsamahin ito hanggang maaari at tingnan natin ang kahihitatnan. Okay? Kaya, Choy.
Salamat po. Well, tawag po sa akin ng mga kaibigan ko is Choy, pero ako po si Marcio Rojas. Alam niyo naman ng mga Pilipino, may palayo tayo, so I go by Choy. And I'm the former CEO and owner of American College of Nursing in Concord. Nabanggit niyo po, at elori, itong tinatawag na Language Immersion Program na pinasimulan po namin dito sa Vallejo at saka sa American Canyon. Ito po ay dahil sa kagustuhan ng ilang mga magulang na lagi kong nakakausap at nagtatanong kung paano ba natuto yung anak kong si Chogi sa Tagalog. Kasi kapag naririnig nila yung anak ko, he is 10 years old now. Pero since he was 3 years old, he has been speaking the language and quite fluently. So they always ask me, how do you do it? You know, I just said, you know, I immerse my kid. So what we have been doing for the past year now is to come up with a curriculum to basically jumpstart the kids, you know, to learn basic Filipino words, greetings, common expressions, because we want our kids to appreciate the Filipino culture. And before any person would appreciate a particular culture, he or she must at least understand, better yet, speak the language. Dahil mahirap pong ma-appreciate ang isang kultura kung hindi natin nauunawaan. And especially po yung mga anak natin na ipinanganak dito sa Amerika, sometimes they don't find it interesting to visit the Philippines. Because they're not familiar with the culture, let alone when they go to the Philippines, they are left out in most conversations dahil nobody can speak the English language, you know, fluently, naturally in a conversation. So, you know, just like, you know, my older daughters, when they visited the Philippines, nobody, you know, everybody was intimidated to talk to them in English. So, consequently, my kids don't want to go back to the Philippines. So, if we teach the kids, you know, to speak Tagalog, at least when they go there, they would be, you know, able to communicate and appreciate, you know, the visit there.
I believe. I agree. I commend. Keep on, Joy. What have you been doing then to start this?
Thank you, Paul. Actually, the Seafood City was so kind enough to open their doors, you know, for us, and they have allowed us to use the Bayanihan Center as a venue. And what we do is every Friday we have our Filipino class there. It is not immersion yet, but we are starting with a class for kids ages 7 to 12 years old.
When they come together, do you treat them as a class or do you treat them as per age group, or how was it?
Okay, that's a good question. Actually, there is a difference between a Filipino class and a Filipino language immersion program. To answer the first part of your question, we try to group them by age kasi there's got to be a chemistry within the same age group so that when we practice or when they role play, because language immersion is a lot of role playing. This is not just memorization, this is actual conversation, natural conversation. So we try to group them by age. And secondly po, it is a program rather than a class, meaning to say it's a play-based environment because this is not just academic passing on of the language, but the mimicry. They have to practice. They have to engage in the conversation. Also, we strongly encourage the parents to participate because after all, the ultimate goal po ng language immersion program is for the parents, to practice at home. Because if they will just rely on what the kids will learn in that 1 hour class or program, it's not effective.
Yeah, I agree to that, Choi, because according to an author, Bloomfield, culture is practice, and language is culture. Culture, language, and practice go together. So it's the actual use of the language in situations at early age that gives them a better footing in learning a language, come what the name of the language is. So go ahead, Joy.
Totoo po yun, Ate Lori. In fact, I always tell the parents, in our program, we call it the Language Immersion Program and Services, LIPS, for short. What I always tell the parents is that you are the primary teacher of your kids. We are tutors. Not that we are washing our hands off, but in reality, language is better taught and reinforced at home. And so the things that the kids learn within that time, whether 1 or 2 hours, is best reinforced at home through natural conversations. Kaya nga po yung mga tinuturo po namin sa mga bata, kung ano po yung mga ginagamit na pang-araw-araw, katulad po ng paggising sa umaga, babati po ng magandang umaga po. Pagkakain, gutom po ako, paabot po ng baso, mahal po kita, tatay, mahal po kita, nanay, paalam po, kumusta kayo? Those are natural conversations, and these are all designed to jumpstart so that the parents primarily will be encouraged, to speak more in Filipino to their kids. Because I think, just like me, I'm a parent. My biggest challenge was to how do I get started, right? And so, but once you start it, you develop that determination, that discipline. Because language immersion, parents, it takes a lot of discipline. And we cannot blame the kids if they don't pick up the language because it's not their fault. We have to take accountability and really determine ourselves.
And that is where we say that language is a habit. And when you said language is taught, it can also be caught. Meaning you teach and they catch the idea and they apply it to other situations. So that is a accumulating habit, and it becomes habitual every day until it's a part of the culture unknowingly. That's fun. And that's also a pride that at least we have an identity, isn't it?
Apo.
So how did you start? Were you able to convince the people right away? It's not easy to go about, I know that, but how did you go about?
Well, I have not met any parent who has been skeptical about it. In fact, they are very, very excited. And once they, observe the class, they are aware of the fact of that they are to participate, that they are to engage. And I think that excitement coupled with responsibility, have really encouraged them. And so far, I have parents that are excited about it. Although the excitement really dies down when they have to talk to their kids every single day, and I'm not there to encourage them. But it takes time, just like me. When I started this, there are times that I myself would forget, and sometimes I would get lazy. I'm guilty of that. So parents, don't beat yourself. When you simply forget, or sometimes you just are not into it. Don't feel too guilty. You just have to develop the habit until it becomes second nature for the parent. Because kids, they only pick up from us. It's mimicry. Language is mimicry. Just like sinabi nga po ni Shunichi Suzuki, the Japanese musician who has developed the Suzuki method of music. Ang sabi niya, music is like a language. Kids...
In fact, it's a language of the heart.
It is. And so what he is saying is that kids pick up a certain language even before they get started in school. And so that's why he used the same principle in language into music.
Because language can be language, spoken language, body language, and so on, and so on, and so on. And you can stop that, and they are all languages.
Yes, ma'am.
And language is giving and taking, and interpreting, and coding, decoding, and it's fun.
Yes.
And art, too. So, did you find any resistance in the other groups, in the other language speakers?
I would say it's not so much of the resistance. It's the question, how do I do it? So what we do is we provide the parents the outline of what was covered on that particular day, so that they can reinforce it. Not just in natural conversation, but also in reading. What we do is, since it's a play base, there is greeting, there's play, there's reading, there's telling stories. We read the story in Tagalog and then side by side with English, and then we teach the kids to memorize some short poems with translation, of course. Like Dr. Jose Rizal, he wrote a poem called Ang Kabataan.
Oh, I see.
So it's really very inspiring, come to think of it. So what we did is we translated it in English, but we required the student to memorize it in Tagalog, because after all, they understand anyway, the translation. But how beautiful this is. Napakaganda mapakinggan ng mga batang tumutula sa Tagalog, di ba? Kapag and so...
and to also adapt the pronunciation
Opo.
as the Filipino words
Opo.
should be pronounced.
Opo.
And sometimes the lapse into the English language is fun. With regards to these stories, do you take stories that have higher and deeper say lessons to comprehend, or do you take something like the fairy tale about the turtle and the monkey and so on? Which do you prefer? Those easy, simple fables, or the deeper meaning things like Jose Rizal?
Maganda pong tanong yan. Actually po, Ate Lori, ang ginagamit po namin ay yung mga tinatawag na talinhaga, or parables in English. There are so many parables, not necessarily biblical parables, but marami po tayong mga talinhaga.
Do you mean to say fables?
Not so much of fable po.
Fairy tales?
Not so much of fairy tale po, kundi a made-up story, which is not really, fable or alamat, kundi po talinhaga na merong moral values, merong moral lesson. Nare-reinforce po namin yung moral values, because I believe that moral values are universal, but language is unique. However, katulad po ng being respectful, yung po at opo, meron pong talinhaga tungkol dyan, yung magaling sa mga matatanda o magaling sa magulang, meron pong talinhaga patungkol dyan. Not necessarily alamat po, pero talinhaga po.
Okay. Parang di ka pa paniwala na nangyayari sa ilalim ng aking paningin. Ito kasi parang panaginip ko na rin ito noon. Pero kung nag-iisa, Sabi ko, mas maganda kung maraming nagbabalikatan, nagtutulungan, at nandun si Ludi, mayroon pa mga kasama doon. Then, what we started, and what I have in mind, and what you have in mind together, will be better if we join hands and not going against one another. Do you think so?
Oh, definitely po. Yun po yung ating tinatawag na bayanihan. Diyan po tayo kilala sa pakikipagtulungan po. Ang kinakailangan po lamang gawin ngayon ay mabigyan kami ng pagkakataon na maikalat ito. Katulad po nito, kaya po yun ako nagpapasalamat sa inyo, binigyan niyo ako ng pagkakataon na maipaliwanag po ang language immersion at ang kaibahan nito sa Filipino class. Iba po yung Filipino class eh. Sa Filipino class, you just sit down for an hour, listen, get good grades, and pass the test, and you think that you have acquired. No. Okay.
And sometimes the lessons are isolated. They are not applicable to the daily life.
Exactly.
So they are soon forgotten.
And not only that po, ate, kundi after the class, nobody speaks it, nobody reinforces it. So, yun po yun. Then, thank you for the opportunity to, to create this awareness. And secondly po, I've been networking with different associations to, work collaboratively dahil, this will not happen overnight. And I have been, consulting with the educators because as an entrepreneur, as a visionary, I have the vision, 5 years from now. But how do we make this happen? It takes a village, to put this together. That's why I hope that, our associations, Filipino American community will see the value of this because,
Have you presented this to the Filipino community?
Not quite po, but I have been, talking to some community leaders about this.
About, for example, who, for example? May I just know because I am interested.
I've spoken to Mel Orpilia,
yes,
Lilibet,
advocate, yeah.
Larry Acera, but not at length. It's just in passing. But I really have not had the opportunity to sit down and explain to them.
I got somebody here who has been in this program. A lady from Central Luzon who had 2 books. According to her, she is the author. So upon looking at this book, she has no copyright, she has no acknowledgement. It is impossible for somebody to just create something like that without any reference from any other person. That's my thinking. So something is not very right here. So before it goes further wrong, we will try to write what little things should be made better. Yeah. And with this
alignment.
Something like that. And she was in. There are even questions, Joy, where we have the Filipino and the Filipino, the Filipina and the Filipino and the Filipina.
That's very true po. Kaya that's why I appreciate po the collective efforts of not only the Filipino authors but the Filipino American authors as well. In fact, there is a society called the Filipino American National History Society, and I think it is important that they are incorporated po. It's one thing to learn about the language, and it's another thing to learn our history. History and language are almost twins. Culture, yes, it's all part of it, in that history. Gaya po na sinasabi niyo, Ate Lori, marami pong mga librong na isulat na dyan eh. Pero ang mahalaga po is how have these books been applied and how effectively have they become. Kaya nga po, upon my research with the Center of Applied Linguistics or CAP, there is a methodology to effectively immerse an individual in a particular language, and that is where we should be. We're not there yet, and we have not even gotten started as far as the Filipino language. So, ang mahalaga po nito, how do we apply this? We need to have a program that will effectively immerse an individual, because books, I think we have tons of books, for Tagalog, but which of them have been really customized and been applied?
In this connection, Choy, I would like to enjoin all other Filipinos there that have this desire to join hands and hearts and heads, so that this will be a collective effort and we can achieve something other than battling with each other. As to battle of the wheat, we should put them together. So this is a good start, and I truly support this, and I like it, and I hope something good will be done about it. And in the meantime, what are the target population so far? The kids and the parents. And do you plan to go and talk or have a talk or have a conversation with the Filipino teachers? Because I myself, I had been substituting there some years ago, but I did not like the syllabus. I did not like the idea. The syllabus too easy and too playful for fourth-year students. The fables like that. For fourth-year students, for me, the subject matter is not appropriate.
Exactly.
So we will have something that will cater to the needs and likes and dislikes. So results will be better.
Yeah.
So in this connection, would you like to contact the school for that? I plan to contact the Vallejo Unified School District.
Why not po? Actually po, the good news is that there have been curricula that have been formulated targeting different age groups. It's just a matter of really putting it together. It should be age appropriate po, ate.
That's right.
And everybody wants to learn the Filipino language, especially the second generation Filipino American residents here. However, I am advocating po on the preschool level, because this is what we call the golden window of opportunity. This is the best window for any particular person to learn a targeted language. I'm not discounting, the grade schoolers and the high schoolers. We all need to immerse them, However, ang sa akin, let's invest on our kids. This is, this has the highest return of investment, and it's easy because it's play-based. They enjoy it, and the parents also participate in it. That's why there's also a family bonding on this.
And according to psychology, those are the ages where children learn fast.
Exactly. Exactly.
Isn't it wonderful? Looks like it's a big job, but slowly but surely you're gonna target that pinnacle of success.
Well, I'm very passionate, so I don't see this as a challenge. In fact, for me, the more I meet people like you, I'm more encouraged. So I think it will just get better and better.
It's also said that an employee, a worker who is bilingual, is preferred to a monolingual, isn't it?
Well, yes, it's an advantage, especially if you're in the Bay Area. It is, it is a plus. That's why Mandarin and Spanish are good to acquire. In fact, hindi lang po Filipino language ang aming tina-target. Doon po lang ang simula, pero hopefully we can expand this to Spanish language immersion and also the Mandarin language immersion. In fact, Pelton Stewart was so kind enough to open the doors for us with the Vallejo Sister Cities International. And we're working with them. Hopefully we can come up with something that would really promulgate language immersion po.
And that guy you mentioned, Pelton, we had been working together. I had been a commissioner of the sister city too, and we worked together. That is where we can see eye to eye and how those objectives being attacked, may I say, and put into play wherever it's possible. So things are coming, involving and unwrapping and touching people, and through language we can enrich it. We're going to do better and hoping some good results will be seen soon.
Yes.
And what more can you tell? If you have the chance now to look at people and you are addressing something like 100 people, what is the first and foremost thing you're going to say about language immersion?
Well, I think I can speak as a parent. I know that at some point, my kids will ask for their roots. And I've heard, older Filipino American born here, how they have missed that opportunity. And parent to a parent, I wish that you could invest, on your kids, because the responsibility is ours. We cannot blame our kids, to losing that language and appreciation of our culture. So rather than being frustrated 10 years from now, you have the opportunity to act on it. And we are here to put this together with your help. If you're interested, do contact us. I can give the information later on, and let's work together. I think this can be done. It's easier said than done, though. But we got to start somewhere, and this is a start.
So we will work. I hope we can work with the school teachers of this language, because I met one student, a grandchild of one of my clients, as an interpreter, and she was speaking. She's a Westerner, and the father, both the mother and the father are Westerners, and she speaks Tagalog just like a first language speaker.
Mm-hmm.
And she learned that only in school.
Mm-hmm.
From first year to third year. She was third year then. How she did that? Maybe first she loves the language, because they must love something before they will like it. And she could understand every word that I say. Not the poetic ones, of course, yet, but I am sure that it can happen. Mm-hmm. It will happen if we have ourselves as their mentors, as their example, and we, among all other leaders here too, with this culture thing, especially Mayor Orpilla, for example,
mm-hmm.
will put together efforts
mm-hmm.
and expectations, so that at least someday, somehow, we'll be living with a legacy that we have this kind of thing in us here, and we are Filipinos at that. And don't forget, Tuesdays and Fridays at 6:30 to 7 o'clock, you will see there Lori Mabolo as the host, Shaaron Foxbank as the director, on Channel 27, VCAT 80 and the Channel 99. Until we meet again,